by head coach Emma Coates. We will let her make a quick statement, and then we will open it up to questions. So, Coach, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously really disappointed, a little frustrated with the result tonight. I thought we started slow. I didn't think we were quite at our normal pace and intensity. I thought we were better in the second half. Some of the structures that we made, I thought we created some really good chances. Felt like the goal come a little bit against the run of play, and just the fact we've conceded so late hurts. But we dust ourselves off, and we've got another game to prepare for midweek.
All right, thanks, Coach. We do have a few questions on the chat. First one, hand up, was Brian. Brian, go ahead.
Sorry about the loss here, but it seemed like was it partially the reason was a little bullish starting out. Was that just the heat, or is it just put your figure out?
Yeah, sorry, you broke up a little bit then. I think it was something around the heat. Is the heat got something to do with it? I'm like, yeah, it's one of the conditions. I don't think we can blame the heat, if I'm honest. I think it's the humidity probably more than the heat. But I think we've played in conditions worse, and it's the same for both teams. I just felt that my reflection is we just didn't quite win our duels, just didn't quite start the game in the same intensity. I thought those moments in the second half that we got that, and I think sometimes when you start a game like that, it's really hard to pull yourself out of it. And I thought they gave it right good go in the second half. So was the heat and humidity a factor? Probably a little bit. I'm not sure it was a key factor though.
And you don't get any time to really rest on this with the champs coming in midweek. So what have you got for them?
Yeah, obviously we obviously need to rest and recover from this game first and foremost. All the good stuff, sleep, hydration, nutrition, all that stuff to make sure that we recover in the best possible way. We get back, we have a little bit of a bounce back day, and then we're straight into into preparing for Gotham.
All right, thanks, Brian. Up next is Marco. Marco, go ahead.
Good evening, Emma. Marco College, Barry Sports Rock. Tough loss tonight. It seemed like you guys did outplay them in the second half, but was this a game though where maybe you missed Rudy a little bit, where she could have imposed her size and her speed once you guys got inside the box? Because it seemed like when you guys did, there was some indecision there.
Yeah, I agree. We'll always miss when players aren't available, whether that's Rudy on this occasion or on other occasions. We absolutely miss players that are important to our team. And yeah, I thought last week her pace and power to get in beyond and provide that threat to stretch the back line. Did we miss it? Arguably, the way that we wanted to play was our wide players coming into the pockets and trying to find Carr, who still has that sort of pace and power. And I thought they did a really good job of sort of removing some of our service and trying to get pressure on our centre halves, removing Claire and Hannah. We found obviously tactical ways to help us sort of progress up the pitch the way that we wanted. And we had good rhythm and flow, I thought, in the build and create phase in the second half. And like you say, just didn't quite fire in the final third today, albeit I actually think, again, I need to watch the game back because I'm going off, probably just a hot reflection and emotion right now. But I feel we did have some big chances.
Marco, I feel like you had another one. I think muted. There you go.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Lastly for me, can you just talk about Jordan's play, how well she made some really big key saves, keeping this game 0-0 right until the end?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she made a couple in both halves, and I think Jordan's such an important part of our team. I think her performances have been super consistent, and she made some outstanding saves to keep us in the game for so long. So again, that's probably why it hurts coming off the end of obviously conceding so late in the game, particularly when we've had moments of like big saves that we should be celebrating as much as goals. So I'm disappointed she didn't get her sort of clean sheet today. We couldn't get that job done for her.
All right, thanks, Marco. Next up, we have Paula. Paula, go ahead.
Paula Maruri, 10 a.m., San Francisco, California. How are you, Emma?
I'm good, thank you. Ian.
Yes. Moving forward, what positives would you like to take away for especially a busy week coming up, Gotham FC and Seattle. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the important bit is when we can get into some of the structures that get between the opposition shape and give us multiple options to play, whether that's playing through the opposition, around them, or beyond them. I think we look really good, and we've got to keep building off that. I actually want to call out Hannah Bibar today. I thought she was excellent. If I'm honest, I thought she was everywhere, particularly in possession. And one of the messages was almost keep feeding Hannah, because we knew that she was going to help us progress up the pitch. And again, some of Jordan's big saves. So I still think there's positives to take. I thought we looked sharper and brighter and better in the second half, and we know what our level is, and we probably just didn't quite fulfil that today. But I also think that's one of my favourite things about football. You never get it right 100% of the time and all the time for a long period of time, and there's things that we can go back and reflect on and tweak a couple of bits going into the Gotham game.
I have a follow-up. In a busy schedule, we're talking, what will be the key to manage mentally and to have a victory again, especially when you're going to be connecting with your fans? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we're really excited to get back to PayPal Park. It's our home, and the connection with the fans has been growing tremendously this season, and they were showing incredible support. I think second of all, it's some of the basic stuff. Mentioned it earlier, just making sure we recover well, rest, sleep, nutrition, hydration, all that important stuff that the off the pitch that will help us being physically in the best place going into the game. I think emotionally, the girls will be feeling a little bit like I am. I'm sure there'll be lots of different feelings, so they've got to emotionally reflect on that. I think that's really important, and then have a mindset and confidence going into the Gotham game that we go and play that game to win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Up next, we have Dino.
Hey, Coach. Dino DeCespedes to the channel. Disappointing result today. The stats reflect each other, I think, for both of the sides. Pretty even matchup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When a matchup like this goes 0-0 into deep waters, kind of anything can happen.
Yeah.
What do you think this team still needs to do to kind of separate itself from a team like Houston, so that you don't find yourself kind of in these deep waters, in these 50-50 matchups?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I feel we're in deep waters. I feel it was a game that was in balance. I feel they probably had their lion's share and a better performance in the first half. I feel we had that in the second half, and I think the bit that makes the difference between teams that consistently win is the consistent behaviours of what we do. In terms of the brilliant basics, I think that's first and foremost, and making sure we're delivering that consistently right through training, right through a game. I think the pleasing bit for me is, whilst we weren't ourselves in that first half, that we came in, at 0-0, and I think that's a sign of showing sort of resilience and a mental resilience to the game, and then to obviously sort of change the momentum and have a slightly different story in the second half is good. And again, it's just frustrating that I felt I'd have to watch the game back, but I felt it felt like we were creating a little bit more, we were spending a lot more time in their half, and felt a little bit like the goal came a little bit against the run of play. And again, they're just like good habits, right? So preparing for transition earlier, clean on the ball, we had big chances, making sure we put them away so that we're not sort of relying on those last few minutes. What I would say is, obviously, when we did concede, I thought our adjustment, we brought Kelly on, we went to up top, we tried to play a little bit more direct, and I thought their adjustment to sort of change their mindset and keep believing and keep chasing, I thought was good. And I'd have to watch it back. I'm not really sure what happened at the end of the game. I'm not sure if there was a VAR check, or whether everyone just misinterpreted the whistle or whatever it might be. But as I say, the speed of what we're putting some of our strategies in and the adjustments is good. It's just consistency, and I'll keep using that word a lot probably with you guys in these interviews.
And then Caroline stepping in for Rudy, how would you rate her performance?
Yeah, I thought some of the one of the things that we wanted from Caroline was to come and play in the pocket, and I thought when we got into those structures, both her and Alex did that well. And as I say, I thought they did a really good job to sort of like kill the pockets and remove some of our midfield. So we had to find different ways into the game, which was sort of around them or over them. I thought she gave a decent account of herself today.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dino. Brian, did you have another question?
Yeah, I did. So after the second hydration break in the second half, really started to kind of get a little bit more momentum, a little more consistency with the passing and everything. But unfortunately, and the stat is out there that this team hasn't scored a goal in the last 30 minutes in 2 years, almost, or a year and a half.
Okay.
So what do you have to do to change that to bring these kind of games home?
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue from the start of the season to now, there's lots of records we're breaking. Clean sheets, wins back to back. That will come. We've got to keep believing in our identity, keep pushing, we're getting our, we've had some injuries at the start of the season. We've got players coming back. Taylor will be available this week as well. So we've got, obviously, depth and availability, I think, is important for that. So we're obviously bringing players into the game. I think just sort of building momentum. And as I say, I actually thought we had a couple of big chances in the last 15 minutes. I thought there was a couple of rebounds, and that was something that we profiled. Obviously, in the game, that we thought there'd be a couple of chances off that, and I thought there was a couple of moments that we could have sort of snuck one. There was a big one at the end when we've loaded the ball in the back. Thought it just needed like a little toe or a knee, or if I'm honest, I wouldn't really cared what it had come off, a shoulder, a nose, whatever it might have been. So again, I think we're creating opportunities in those parts. So it's not a major concern for me now. I've only been at the helm for since January. We're midway through the season. I'm confident that we will start scoring goals in that phase of the game.
All right, thanks, Brian. Any other questions for Coach? Okay, well, that is it for her. We'll come back with Caroline Conti and Sydney Collins. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we are back with Caroline Conti and Sydney Collins. We will go ahead and open straight to questions for these two. And Brian, you had your hand up first.
Hello, ladies. Sorry about the result tonight, but one thing I've noticed is that Emma never comes into a present from excuses or always, well, we've got to do better on our next opportunity. So as we talked with her earlier, they got the champs coming in on Wednesday. So what are you going to do better to get that result? And I think would be the first result against Gotham.
Yeah, Brian, you cut out a little bit in the end, but you said something about you think Emma never comes in with excuses, and how do we use that to get results?
And what do you have to do better on Wednesday to get the first result ever against Gotham?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we just got to continue to grow and focus on us and how we're trying to play and build as a group. We're constantly evaluating and trying to improve just how we're playing together regardless of the result. And so, obviously we're disappointed in this result, but we're going to kind of take our usual processes and look to score and look to obviously keep a clean sheet against Gotham.
And some good things that have gone on in this second half of the season, where 281 minutes without conceding until that goal at the end. Do you take anything from that and say, okay, we're starting to turn, get the turn up, and things are going to start going our way if we continue to do the things we're being asked?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think as a back line, we've been really trying to keep clean sheets. The last 2 weeks being able to keep clean sheets was a huge boost of momentum for our group. Obviously, we're disappointed that we got scored on late in the game tonight, and I think that we have really high standards as a group, and we're working on just kind of mitigating those goals and those final things. But I think we've shown the growth in this group, and we'll continue to do that.
And just real quick, lastly, I know you're missing Rudy for the next week or so, but you do get Taylor's availability back on Wednesday. What does that mean for the club, and how is everybody feeling about, all right, we're getting one of our peeps back?
Yeah, obviously Rudy's away representing her country, which is awesome, but there also is a roster of 25 other girls, and getting Taylor back in is amazing as well. She's a phenomenal player. So yeah, we're excited. We're lucky to get her back from her injury that she was a part of. But yeah, getting everyone back in the squad, showing up to training every single day, competing, I think it's been great, and we're excited for Taylor to come back.
And just to be clear, Emma didn't say that Taylor was for sure back. We're still working with her, and there's a possibility she'll be back very soon. All right, next question up was Paula.
Paula Maruri, Centenes, Rodrigo, California. Hi guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
So very good. So you will be facing Gotham FC on Wednesday, the champions. How would you balance the last four results, especially for a very competitive game? Thank you.
I think our processes are really the same no matter the opponent. We are looking to really embed our style of soccer onto the game. I think, obviously they're a great team, but I think so are we. And I think that we're continuing to show that we can compete with the best teams in this league. And part of our growth as a team is to continue to test ourselves. And so obviously it will be a good test on Wednesday.
This is for both. As leaders of this team, how will you guys find the resiliency back for this week? Thank you, especially when you guys are going to be facing the champions on Wednesday. Thank you.
I think it's important just to kind of focus on us. Yes, we have like a really big game coming up, but I think it's important to kind of look back and reflect on what we've done really well the past 2 weeks, looking back on this game and what things that we can clean up, but things that we did well as in this game as well. But yeah, I think focusing on us, getting our game plan down, and just trying to do better with what we know we're good at.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Up next is Marco.
Good evening, ladies. Mark caller of Barry Sports Route. I know you don't like to use excuses when it comes to stuff like weather, but what was the energy level like toward the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, and how were you guys holding up with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hot here, but obviously that's not an excuse for our group. I think that in the second half, we were creating great chances, and we were definitely playing our style of soccer. I think right before the goal at the end, we, definitely could have scored one of our chances. So it's kind of the game of soccer. I would say that as a group, not to do with the weather, but I think our energy maybe at the beginning and how we started the game wasn't to our standards as a team, but that's something that we'll continue to improve on.
And Carolyn, you guys got into the box. It seemed like there was some indecisiveness. What do you think was the difference going into this match with that, and then where you guys were able to really do well against North Carolina last week?
Yeah, obviously there's games where there's a little bit of disconnect. There may have been a few times in this game, but I still think we had a good amount of chances that we had, shots on goal, just didn't fall our way today. But I think we can go back, learn from it, and lead into this next game.
And lastly for me, Cindy, just talking about Jordan's great play and the way you guys kept you in this game, really all the way up until the end.
Yeah, she's done that all year for us. We love Silky. She came up big again for us, and I feel like week after week she's owning her role on this team, and just really proud of her, and feels good to have a keeper that we can trust.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marco. Up next is Dino.
Dino to Cespedes to channel. Hey, Sydney. A really good defensive performance today. A lot of the shots that Houston was forced into were from pretty deep out. What did you see defensively that was working well today?
I think, they have a lot of threats. Obviously, they're a pretty direct team. I thought as a back line, we defended the space well together and covered for each other. I think inbox defending has been a huge focus for us, and to just be really hard to beat and really own our box. So, obviously we're disappointed that we didn't get the result in the clean sheet tonight, but I still think, there were some really good performances in our back line, and I'm really proud of our group.
And then from your vantage point on the pitch, what were you able to see upfield from the offense? Like, what was the connectivity? It didn't seem like the same rhythm had been there. Was that more Houston kind of disrupting what you were doing, or something different?
I think, we go into each game with a certain game plan, and some of, we had to adjust in game to some issues that they posed us, whether that was in possession or out of possession. So I think, we're a team that can win and score goals in a lot of different ways. I think that, to your point, like maybe we weren't as maybe connected in distances and in just, connections on the field as we've been in past weeks. But I still feel like from the forwards and from the front lines, we pressed, for 90 minutes. We gave great effort. We created a lot of chances. We had possession in their half for a lot of the second half. So when I look up the field and I see, my teammates working hard and, trying to score, obviously, and to secure 3 points, it's obviously, what we want to see from the back line.
And then Caroline, I thought you had a good game. I asked Emma about it. She concurred, so that you had a good account of yourself today. What do you feel like you did well, kind of stepping into Rudy's spot that you could kind of take forward? WAFCON could stretch out a few weeks here. So anything that you feel good about that you can build on?
Yeah, obviously I'm a little bit of a different player than Rudy is. She's a little faster than me, but I love coming to the pocket, supporting Sid or Aldi in there, being able to get up, face up on the turn, trying to hit the opposite pockets with Alex, taking people on, trying to find the crosses early and behind for Carly. We were a little off today, but I think that's something that we can go back and look on. There's different types of threats that we have on this team, and I think it's important that we can just continue to learn from it. And I think we had a good performance. We just couldn't get it back the net today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nino. Any other questions for these two?
Good night, thank you.
Thanks, Paula. That is it for us. We are back in action at home on Wednesday. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.